All right, everybody. This one's gonna deal with space, but this is warning to all politicians. I'm running for president in 2024, and it's part 30, I believe, and it's gonna have to deal with space and what we put our money and time and knowledge towards. So anyhow. Well, first thing, looking out there, if you look at a tree and all the leaves and everything, one of the teachings of the Baha'i faith is we're all leaves on the same tree. So there's something for you to think about. Because it has, whether you're Christian or Muslim and stuff, there's tie-ins to things that are taught in the religions and in other religions. So anyhow, I've often thought we have enough problems right down here. Why do we want to spend all this money in space? And we're always told, there's things that benefit us, and there are. The satellite technology for weather and crops and ocean temperatures and all these types of things. There's a lot of scientific data we've achieved from going to space. But when people tell me, oh, you wouldn't have cell phones, you wouldn't have microwaves and this type of stuff, it wasn't for the program, I say hooey. There's inventors and companies always working on stuff, and I think we would have had all our gadgets that we have, and plus Tang, if you remember Tang. So anyhow, a lot of people say, oh, we got to go back to the moon. A lot of people are talking about, no, we just go straight to Mars. There's a debate on what the best way to do it is, so I'm gonna offer my opinion, since that will be most definitely if I should make it to the Oval Office. It is a part of our society, and I do believe science and technology deserve our attention, and there's a lot of benefits, new energy sources, safer travel, air travel, all types of things to be gained. So anyhow, my opinion is, if you're going to do something, do it right, and if you're going to go big. So we look at if we look at our military budget and the military budgets around the world, if we could all cut our budget, say, by like 25%, so, because like I said, some things you can't are not overnight. You gotta, baby steps. You can't pull the rug out from under the people and stuff like that. And it'll take a lot to get all nations to trust each other and to lay down their arms, and we can work on some of these other problems we have. So anyhow, I asked a question in one earlier, was, could we attach propulsion systems to the International Space Station and either, manually fly it, I guess, is that the right word, fly it through space? Anyway, and take it to Mars. And if we don't man it, you could do it remotely and stuff. But there's, you always see they lose communications with these rovers from time to time and stuff like that. So it'd be better if you could have a manned crew, and if not, attach rockets to it. And if we're gonna go to Mars, we can start building the ship right now. A lot of stuff is off the shelf or near off the shelf technology, from the shuttle, from the ISS and other programs. And if you look back, if you remember Skylab, if you don't, look it up, it was allowed to, its orbit decayed and it burned up in the atmosphere. So is that what we're going to let happen to the ISS as it gets older? If we were to move it to Mars and have it to orbit Mars, could the solar collectors that it has on it and all that generate the electricity and stuff? So we'd have to look at all that stuff. But if we're going to go to Mars, what are we going there for? If it's to spend countless billions of dollars to go and orbit and come back, a couple of guys, I'm out. Even if it's to land a couple of guys, plant a flag, and bring a couple of rocks back, I'm out. What's the purpose? Then it'll be God knows how long before you'll ever go back. And especially if something goes wrong, we can't get them back, whatever. You know, and they're lost in space, or they die in space or something, then it'll be even longer before governments want to spend the money for something like that. So if we built a ship, you know, and I'm sure the propulsion systems we have now will get us there and stuff, but if there's a way to get us there faster or whatever, you know, like I say, you build the ship and you have pylons or something you can bolt the propulsion system onto. But you start building it up there in space right now, and I say build 2 ships. And if we can take ISS with us, we mate one of the ships to the ISS, and we take off and we head to Mars, and then the other ship will be like a backup ship, because we don't want to leave anybody up there and stuff. And each will have a lander. Maybe one will carry 2. The second ship would carry, you know, pods that would land, that we would leave, even if we can't land. Because here's the thing: you can land people on Mars. The problem is getting them off of Mars. You know, how big a rocket and everything. Because when they went to the moon, if you look at the video when they left the moon, it was like a firecracker went off underneath that module, and it straight up in the sky, no problem. Or straight up into space, no problem. I don't think you can get off of Mars so easy. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but so the question is, if we're going to go there, we need to go big, because we need to make it worthwhile after that mission to go again. And if we spend all the money up front, then the next missions won't be as expensive. So we go, we figure out where we're going to have a base camp on Mars, and so we go, and either we tow the ISS with us, or we make something else that's going to orbit Mars. That way you have a platform there, and even if you're not going to go down to the surface, you can at least have a reason to go to the platform that you have orbiting Mars. And so whether it's the ISS or another platform, all right, so you go, let's say you're able to put men down, they go down, they do whatever, they set up some stuff for the next people who will go, they come back up, everything goes all right, they come back up. Whenever you see everything's fine and all that, you leave the one ship attached to the ISS, then the other ship, its lander, you remotely send down there, right? So it'll be down there. So when the next people come and they go to land on Mars, if something goes wrong with their thing, they can't get off, they have a backup already on the planet. You understand? So you pre-position stuff and you leave a lander on Mars, and you have a space station orbiting Mars with a ship still attached to it. Now I think going up there, you're not going with just a couple guys. I think at least 6 people per ship, and being it's such a long journey, and this will probably be some people have a problem with it, I say you make them all married couples. 3 couples on each ship. You can even go with more people. Depends how much, you know, work NASA can figure out for everybody to do. So, and this will all be international. So, you know, you can have a couple from China, a couple from somewhere in Africa, a couple from Mexico, a couple from the United States, you know, wherever, whoever's in on this, they send a married couple, because we are human beings, and sexuality is part of being a human being. And I'm not sure exactly how long a mission to Mars would take, but if you expect me to believe man or woman is going to go all the way to Mars and come back and not have any sexual desire, and then have no way to release that except for what everybody does but denies. That's kind of not fair. And it would make the journey a lot better. It would ease a lot of stress, I think, if you had a spouse with you. Some would say cooped up like that, maybe not, but these are trained professionals, and you would have a way to get your yayas out. And if it takes a year and a half to get there or whatever, it would make the journey a lot more pleasurable. So, and then we got to look at the other thing. Do we say, okay, absolute birth protection, maybe even temporary vasectomies or tying tubes, or do we say, okay, if somebody gets pregnant, they get pregnant, and if we go to the planet, you know, hey, maybe we can have the first human being ever born, you know, off-world, whether it's in space or whether it's on the surface of Mars. How about that? The first human being born on the surface of Mars. Now, you got to ask medical science about all this. I'm not sure of the dangers and all those types of things. Would it be a normal pregnancy? Those types of things. So we'd have to work that out. But I think definitely you would want to send married couples in each ship. So, and from all over the world. Since we are all one humanity, I think this would be a great international thing. Promote international cooperation and harmony through the races. So I say go big and have a plan. So now you've left this other. Now you're coming back. You left this other ship there with the space station there orbiting Mars. So now the next crew goes up. Maybe you don't have to send 2 ships, but maybe you do. Maybe you send more supplies. So, and here's the thing, and then you can send, if propulsion systems have improved or whatever, like that and everything, now you have a launch platform at Mars. Not from the ground, but from the space station, and you have a ship up there already. And so the next crew goes up, maybe they can concentrate on outfitting the ship and everything for the next leg of our journey into space. And maybe we can launch from Mars someday to go to the moons of Jupiter or beyond or something, depending on the propulsion systems. You know, maybe we can get out there to Saturn even or something. Because time and money and the effect space will have on us are like the 3 biggest hindrances. We got the technology. We can send probes anywhere and rockets and stuff. It's just, you know, our physiology and stuff like that, how space affects us, and you know, a human being basically being locked in a tin can for years. You know, I guess you could say the psychological or mental stuff. But so that's my plan. Go big or don't go at all. Don't tell me we're going to go up there and we're going to spend billions of dollars to go plant the flag. You know, just for a shot of patriotism. You know, let's make it worthwhile. It will take an international effort. Most of the components we already have. We know how to design. They could start building the craft. If the word was given to go, whether it was to take, say it was, you could take the ISS to build that craft, and I bet you could be launching for Mars in 4 years. If you had enough money and people behind it, you could tote everything you needed up there, build the vehicle and all that, and be ready to go in 4 years. That's what I'm willing to bet. With enough money and effort behind it, no problem. Now, if you had to build another platform to orbit around Mars, maybe you got to add another couple of years or something. But I know, you know, the technology is there, the components are there. So, you know, you can maybe add components to the ISS and make it able to go to Mars, and we'll put it in orbit around Mars. We've got to go there with a purpose. other than maybe to pick up a couple rocks and plant a flag. You know, there's, if that costs us, I'm going to throw a number out there. Like I said, I'll just use numbers for examples. If that would cost us, $500 billion just to do that, if for another 500 billion we could go big or whatever, then I say do it. Or if it's like 200 billion to just go circle the planet, or even if you could land and come back or something, and it would cost us another 400 billion, get us up to 600 billion to do like I say, then go big. Why not? Because once you go and you come back, and if it isn't deemed worthwhile by the world, and all you did was you snagged a couple, it's like climbing Everest. Okay, you went and did it. Big deal. Not that climbing Everest is a small feat, but okay. Where's the benefit? What's next? Oh, we're just going to go climb it again. Well, no, I don't think we're going to spend all that money just to go do the same exact thing again. So that's my take on space. And I know we could trim the military budgets and also do a lot of things here on Earth. And so I'm going to talk about that in my next one. Rebuilding America's cities. I already talked about some of that, but I've had some more ideas. And some ideas that I've had for a long time about, just like I said, architecture and stuff like that was like my only professional interest when I was in school. But just my circumstances and being a dummy and getting involved in things I shouldn't have and everything, that seemed like a very far off distant thing I would never succeed at. And with all the math and studying and engineering and stuff like that, I just, that point in my life, it was like, that ain't never gonna happen. Go get a job, make some money, drop out of school. So anyhow, that's my idea for space there. Go big or don't go at all. If you're gonna do it right. And but in my next one, like I said, there's plenty of things we can spend money on right here on Earth, especially here in America. And so I'm going to go into, in the next one, rebuilding our cities. My idea is you look at China and the Gulf states in the Middle East and stuff, the types of cities they're building. China, they call them ghost cities. They built all these cities, but then they were stupid and let all the real estate and investors, the properties have been bought and sold so many times they're too expensive for regular Chinese people to move into. That's why they're empty cities. Because investors, were just, buying from each other left and right. And everybody's got to make a profit. So looking at that, I've always thought, why can't we build a city from the ground up? Think of everything. And I've thought of a lot of things that I think, I already talked about some of them, like underground bike paths and motorcycle parkways, just lots of things, and to really think and do everything from the ground up, plan a city and all this. And I think when I was talking about rebuilding our inner cities and stuff, I mean, you could very well say, hey, we're gonna build this city. There's plenty of open land out here. I mean, I usually have these thoughts when I'm out there cruising across the desert, and there'll be some people, oh, desert you can't sustain, and you'd be surprised what that desert can sustain. Speaking of the desert, if you ever want to clear your head, you want some solitude and time to think. That's one good thing about this job, is that you get to go and see a lot of different places, and I've always loved the open road out in the desert, especially at night with full moon, whatever. So get out there cruising. Try it sometime. You're on vacation by yourself or something, and ain't gonna really work with a car full of screaming kids. But if you can get out there to the desert sometime, get cruising down the highway on Interstate 8 or something between Yuma and Calexico or wherever, and play Hotel California. It's therapy, man. I'm telling you, it's therapy. You'll love it. So, but anyway, out in the desert out there, I look at all that vast space and lots of places in this country. There's just, Wyoming, whatever. And so ideas for cities and stuff, you look what they build around the world, and it's like, why don't we do stuff like that here? What's the deal? Everything we have here, Congress has neglected for so long, the infrastructure and everything. And, we don't have anything really too much. I mean, what was the last, well, all right, we got the Freedom Towers, like the last big new thing we've built. Before that, you had like the Space Needle or, whatever. So I've got some ideas for a planned city. And then we could take a lot of people. I'm not saying just give everything away, but it would pay off in the end. A lot of people, say from these areas in the older cities that we want to redo, move them in as we're building this new city. They would have jobs there. They would help build this new city. They would be invested in it, in the properties there and stuff. They would get a hell of a deal, like I talked about in my other ones about urban renewal. They'd get a hell of a deal from all around the country, and then as they're there and building that city and everything, then they get their equity in whatever. That city would be a very attractive place. Everybody would want to move there. If these people wanted to sell what they had there in that city, make a profit, and move back to their old city or somewhere else, they would have the money to do it. So that the money would circulate. You see what I'm saying? It's not like we're just going to throw a bunch of money at something that we're not going to see any kind of returns from. You would see a return eventually. And so, but while we're moving people from the old areas of old cities, giving them a fresh start, then we go into these urban areas. We can do everything from scratch there too. We can really plan and rebuild our cities that way. It'd be a long process and everything, I understand that. But it's better than doing nothing, watching everything fall apart. So I got ideas about that, which I'll go into next one. I might even make some drawings or of some of the stuff I'm talking about. But we'll see. I haven't done anything like that in a long time, but just so you can grasp what I'm saying, have an idea. So stuff about that. And what else? Environmental stuff. Some questions you should that you won't hear asked anywhere else about stuff. So the next one will be Rebuilding America, and then the one after that I think I'm going to call Cow Farts. So how about that? So I don't know if I'll get to those tonight or be tomorrow sometime or whatever. Tomorrow's every truck driver's favorite day for me, and we each experience this day at different times, but tomorrow's my day, and that is laundry day. So we all love it so much out here on the road. I'm telling you, nothing like having to do laundry on the road. So tomorrow I'll be further down the road somewhere and find some place I can do that and shower up and do house cleaning in the truck and all that. And if I get time, I'll do those next two about Rebuilding America and Cow Farts. So wish you all the best out there. God bless, and we'll see you on the next one. Adios.